Ariel Levin. I don't know how much you've been following about Open Hillel, but these young people have demonstrated in 2 weeks some of the crippling hypocrisy that we've been operating under in the Jewish community. You can have a Jewish center, but you can't talk about the 800-pound gorilla in the living room. And as I will say later on, it is making us crazy, it is making us sick. And one of the things that I've learned from this trip, one of the many things, is that the fact that we have been actually saying some of these forbidden words like BDS, boycott, divestment, and sanction in a public space on a university is giving other people the freedom to say it. Because since we said it already, they can quote us and they can say it. And another thing that is happening, which is very important, I think, is that the black student organizations are giving some critical help to the Jews who are under attack. So in my case, to make it very brief, I'm a first generation American Jew. My grandparents were Orthodox, my parents were secular. I, most of all, am a Second World War baby. I was 7 when the war was over. So I actually remember some things about the war. And my father was a little community dentist. When I say little, he was 5'2". And sitting over there, by the way, is my grandniece, my sister's grandchild, who goes to this school, who's about to graduate. So I'm talking about grandma here. And so this was a mom and pop operation. We lived in the back, and they were in the front. This was just like any Chinese laundry, any immigrant situation. My mother was his nurse. And during the war, in between patients, he would race back and forth to listen to the war news. And we remember, all of my sister and brother remember the black curtains being pulled down over the windows. And everybody was afraid. I mean, we had something to be afraid of, especially the Jews had something to be afraid of. He told me after the war was over, and when the concentration camps were open, I remember him just going completely crazy. And one of the things that irked him so much, it's not even good language, that the Nazis gave the Jewish men the name Israel. If your name was John Smith, you were John Israel Smith. That Israel identified you as a Jew. And if you're a woman, Susan Smith, you were Susie Sarah. Sarah is my mother's name. Okay? So in 1948, when the entire left wing, of which my father was a very proud member, voted for the establishment of Israel, he had a sort of grin of satisfaction. They were calling it the country that the Nazis had tried to disgrace us with. So it is not a surprise that I went south. And what I say to the young people is, in this crazed fealty to the nation of Israel, we have lost sight of some of our own social justice tradition. And I urge you to read about it and see films about it. It is a really great fighting tradition. When we came to this country, we were the ones with the Italian girls who jumped out of the window at the Triangle Shirtwaist Fire. We are the ones who organized the Garment Workers Union. In the 30s, we are the ones who joined everything in sight, the Communist Party, the Socialist Party, the anarchists, the this, the that. We are the ones who helped and took people, when they were evicted, got their furniture back into the house. And we, something I'm very proud of, we had numbers way disproportionate to our numbers in the population, which we have never been over 2% of the population, ever in this country. We were about half of the American volunteers who went to fight in the Spanish Civil War, which was the dress rehearsal, as Ira said, for World War II. And in fact, if you go on the website of the vets, there is a Spanish Civil War vets website, you'll see a story that during the fighting, that the operating rooms, which was staffed by people from 40 countries, 40 countries, that the lingua franca was Yiddish. So you had people conversing with each other from all over the world in Yiddish. I am very, very proud of that. That tradition, forget it, it's gone, because what is being taught in the synagogues from age 5, and I've seen this myself, I've been in synagogues, and there are the little pre-Ks and all their classes, and they write little things, and it was a little heart, and it says, I love Israel. I love Israel. So what I'm talking about comes as total news to them when I talk to them. I have absolutely no idea. So I went south. I don't even want to go into the requisite, the arrest, the hitting, beating over the head, and all of that. As a matter of fact, it's documented in a book that I helped edit called Hands on the Freedom Plow. It's an award-winning book by women in SNCC, Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, award-winning, that never was reviewed in the New York Times, which gives you an idea, A, about the book, and B, about the New York Times. Now, when we were south, black people, of course, have taught us everything, taught me everything I know, how to behave in this world. They said, you've got to go into your own community, you've got to go into the white community. I mean, it's one thing, it's dangerous out here, but when you come home at night, somebody, you're in the black community, you're safe. Not only are you safe, but the chances are you're living out in the rural areas and you're in somebody's home. They have a rifle, they have a pistol, and they are going to use it. If somebody tries to get you, they are going to protect you. They said, go into your own community. So there were a few brave souls who tried and could not last more than a week or two. They rented an apartment, they appear, boom, the clamor was after them, they were arrested, they lost their houses and so forth. So in the back of my mind, I have had this sort of unfinished business with them, because basically that's what I am. I still work for them, even though they've been gone 47 years. I'm still working for SNCC. Finally, to make a long story short, I met a leftist Israeli who talked about the Green Line. This was in 2000. I'd never heard of the Green Line. I knew nothing. I was amazed. I had no idea there were people like that there. And I got involved. And I've been there 10 times. I'm on the board of the Friends of the Jenin Freedom Theater, which is a great little theater in the Jenin refugee camp. And I'm also a founding member of Jews Say No, which is an organization on the Upper West Side of Manhattan that goes out into the street in a predominantly Jewish neighborhood with our banner that says, Jews Say No to the Occupation, and I can tell you my stories about that. I'm sure you know them already. When I first saw the wall that Larry described, I thought of my father, and maybe I was glad he was not alive to see this wall with the barbed wire and the guard tower, and then a flag flying overhead that had the Jewish star on it. I was glad that he did not have to live to see that. And I actually don't know how he would have felt about it, because he had very conflicted feelings, as many people in his generation did about Israel. Now, getting to the meat of this, I have to tell you that I did speak in a synagogue once, years ago, in New Jersey, Scotch Plains, New Jersey. And a very miserable situation. There were 2 of us debating, 2 against 2. One of the pro-Israel people was this very nice lady from Hadassah. And she said to me, we had supper before the debate. She said to me, we're completely impartial. I said, fabulous. This is wonderful. She said, yes, we support the government of Israel no matter who's in the government. And so I laughed about that, and I laughed later on. It turned out to be very serious, because this was a woman who actually believed that whoever was in the government of Israel was telling her the right thing. She had surrendered her mind. She had given away her brain. A lot of people have given away their brain. And we can see this in this latest Open Hello situation. What we have here is a national organization telling local chapters that there's certain things in Jewish life that are beyond the pale. Okay? This is not working out too well. Not since these kids in Open Hillel started. This is not working out well. And I hope you will all help them, and because they are doing it basically by themselves. 55 years ago, I first went south. And you can say how wonderful I look and how young I am. Thank you very much. BDS is a time-honored tactic. And we used it in the South. Black people have used this for generations, have used this tactic. This is a nonviolent tactic. People were using it in the 30s on interracial picket lines in front of, and this is demonstrated in this really fine exhibit that was at the Jewish Museum called Bridges and Boundaries. There were people picketing Bernstein's store on 125th Street. And there were black people picketing. They said, "Don't buy where you can't work." That was the slogan. And there were Jews on that picket line too, who said, "We are in this together. We are in this together." What I want, frankly, I don't care if it's 1 state, 2 states, 5 states, Confederate states, whatever it is. I learned here in the good old USA, as you have learned, what we stand for is equal rights under the law. Okay? This is now turning out to be a very radical assumption. I want that for the Palestinians, I want that for the Israeli Jews. I want them to be safe, and I want them to have equal rights under the law. And finally, I'll just tell you that even though I am an atheist and a secularist, I love the rabbis. The rabbis are our link with our past. They tell us many interesting things. And I uncovered this story, this rabbinical story, that the rabbi tells the students, it was he, because there were no she, rabbi, tells the students that a stork, S-T-O-R-K, is not kosher. A stork, even though it fulfills all the kosher rules, is not kosher. And it also is a very nice animal. It's very kind. The reason it is not kosher is that it cares only about its own kind. And if you care only about your own kind, you're a prick.